You're the only interaction they could get with someone from your culture or your religion.
What's it like being a Muslim in Korea?
They're very welcoming.
I'm also finding friends here that are really respectful and mindful about your religion.
Can you openly practice Islam in Korea?
I don't think that you can practice Islam openly in Korea.
There's a certain type of image Muslims have in Korea. What image is that?
I would say overall it's pretty negative.
What's it like wearing a hijab here in Korea?
When they see you with it, they just keep looking around you like you're a celebrity or something.
What's it like being a Muslim in Korea?
I think it's pretty fine. Everyone's very acceptable, and I think they're very welcoming. So I think it was pretty easy.
It's interesting because I feel like there is a Muslim community here, but it's not as big as in the Western world. I would say overall good.
It is a very interesting experience because they eat pork a lot. So finding restaurants and everything is pretty difficult over here. But in my opinion, until now, a lot of people are extremely respectful. I'm also finding friends here that are really respectful and mindful about your religion. So I'm having a pretty good time with some difficulties, but I think it's handleable.
It's not really hard because if I want to pray, I can just come to the mosque. But it's pretty common or normal because there's no any difficulties I'm facing or conflicts or racism.
You get a lot of stares, that's for sure, because you look different. It's more of a personal thing. I feel like you're kind of representing whether your country or your culture. It's not just Muslims, it's any foreigner here. So you should be mindful of that because some people here, you're the only interaction they could get with someone from your culture or your religion, so they can just see you, get an impression and then go on with their day, and that'll be the only thing they know about you or your culture, so you have to be mindful of that.
It's pretty interesting. Honestly, it's my first time being abroad, so being in let's say everything is different here. The food, the culture, everyone around me. It has been hard at times, specifically during Ramadan, because during Ramadan, basically you're always surrounded by your friends and family. Being here as a foreign student has been pretty hard.
Is it hard to find halal food in Korea?
I think it's extremely hard on daily basis, but it really depends on where you live. For example, if you live in Seoul, Itaewon, then there's a lot of halal places there. But if you live in Daegu, then there's not many Muslim people living in Daegu, so obviously it's very hard to find.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think halal food in general is definitely hard to find. I usually just go with non-pork options, which is fine, but halal is pretty hard, unless you're in Itaewon or in other districts.
Yes, it's pretty hard. If you don't really stay in Itaewon, it's actually pretty hard to find something. So, and it's also difficult with ramen, the cup noodles and stuff in the convenience store, because a lot of the things contain pork, and you don't really know it unless you use Papago or something, so it is pretty hard.
Not so much. We saw little places. Japan was a little harder, but here I feel like the Muslim people, there was more here than Japan, so it wasn't that hard. It's pretty hard. But if you live around this area here, you could find a lot of halal food. If you see here, there's a lot of Pakistani, and there's other areas like Gangnam. It's really hard.
In Seoul, I think it's fine, but I don't live in Seoul, so it's a bit tricky. I live in Gwangju. There are a few halal markets, but in terms of restaurants, it's not that many.
It's very hard. It's also very hard to find food from my culture specifically. And if I find food from my culture, it's usually very expensive. And it's also for myself, I don't know how to cook. So even if I go to the halal market and find food, it's pretty expensive.
How do Koreans react when they find out you're a Muslim?
They usually very surprised, I would say, because obviously I look like Korean, so many people expect that I don't have a religion, so they're very surprised usually. I had some people asking questions if you're Muslim, how did you come to Korea? Because they assume that if you're Muslim, they assume you're from Afghanistan, I think, because they asked me how did you get education? Yeah, but mostly people are just surprised and curious. They ask questions why don't you eat pork? And I just explain them, and they're very kind and respectful most of the times.
Would you say the society is welcoming to Muslims?
I don't think that they're very welcoming, but I would say that they're very respectful toward any religions. It's just that thing is that they are not very used to for diversity of different religions. That's why I don't think it's super welcoming. They're just not quite used to having different religions in Korea, yeah. So they're very maybe curious and surprised, yeah.
So most of my friends, when I tell them that I'm Muslim, they are first pretty surprised, and after they are actually pretty curious. They ask questions. Some of them even go and seek information themselves just to know how to treat a person that is Muslim. So it's actually pretty cool to see them getting invested, finding out what it is and everything. So they're really respectful.
They usually don't tell that we're Muslims, so it's kind of like harder. They usually think we're third European. Based on how we look, I wouldn't say we look Muslims like off the bat.
They don't really care or like think about it. They just ask where I'm from. So when I'm saying I'm Sudan, they're just like surprised and they're amazed.
Most of the time, they're really surprised. Sometimes I had like 1 or 2 times where they were like reacting like negatively. I think they have like prejudice against Muslims because they say in Korea like Muslims don't have a really good image. I had that experience as well. Actually, somebody stopped talking to me once when they found out I'm a Muslim. Yeah. Like I had that like 2 weeks ago. I was also really surprised. I've never had that before in my life. Yeah, happened for the first time in my life in Korea.
If you don't mind me asking, so like, was that like a friendship or like a relationship?
Neither nor. It was just like somebody that I was meeting and we just met randomly and then we went out for a restaurant and then they found that I was a Muslim and they had an interesting reaction about that.
Earlier you talked about there's a certain type of like image Muslims have like in Korea. Like what image is that?
I would say overall it's pretty negative. Koreans are not as well educated about like others about that. I heard stuff like beating up women rights, war and everything like that. Yeah.
And where do you think they get this bad information from, or like this information about the Muslim community?
That's a good question. I think it might be maybe from the Korean media, from the Korean government. I'm not sure. I'm not into politics here, especially in Korea, but could be something like that. Maybe like the mainstream media. It used to be like that in the Western world, but right now it's much better. So maybe we're experiencing the same in Korea.
I mean, it's pretty obvious from the hijab. So it's normally like, oh, like, let's say if it's really hot outside, they're like, oh, why are you wearing it? You should take it off. You should wear a short sleeve. Like, how are you handling the heat? I mean, it's pretty normal. I'm pretty used to it by now. So I haven't had any negative reactions so far. So it's all based on curiosity, basically.
The ones I've met have been very respectful, especially when it comes to like food, especially if we're going out. They care about like, oh, you can't eat this, so let's order something else. But I've been blessed to find these kind of people, especially at my university. But some other friends have not had that. It's been okay for me so far.
Can you openly practice Islam in Korea?
I don't think that you can practice Islam openly in Korea because, again, they're not very used to a diversity of religions here. So usually if I have to pray, I usually go to a fitting room in a department store and I can pray in peace there.
Openly is pretty hard. Everything about the food is pretty easy to manage. If it's about prayers, I think it's pretty hard to find like a small place to pray at because my Korean is not that good. It's also hard to communicate with them and tell them, oh, I would like to, could I pray somewhere around there? So I have a lot of difficulties with that. For example, universities usually offer like a prayer room or something, which is really cool. The university that I study at, Korea University, has like a prayer room. In public, hard, but like in certain places, I think you can, by talking to them, find a place.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone here is very welcoming and is very comfortable. I wouldn't feel ashamed to be a Muslim in Korea. I think there's like you can see right here, there's a big quantity of Muslims here, so I think I'd feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I can. It's easy and common to do it because like no one really cares, honestly. So it's really easy.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like one of the positive things about Koreans is that they don't really care that much. It's a good and a bad thing. Whatever you're doing, they just, okay, they maybe take a look and then go on. If you can get past some of the stairs and stuff, you'll be okay.
I personally don't practice openly, to be honest. So I just go to the mosque every Friday here. But from what I heard, I think it's possible. I haven't seen people praying on the streets, but like I have friends who wear like hijab or anything like that. So I think it's pretty open. You can do it.
Yes. I mean, when it comes to prayer, I try my best to be in an area where no one is around me. It's more for me. And like, let's say when I was in the language school, I used to tell my teachers, oh, I want to go pray. Is there any place that I could pray? And they were always open about it. So it's more like I would try to be in an area that is away from everyone so I can feel comfortable and also make everyone feel comfortable.
What's it like wearing a hijab here in Korea?
Well, obviously I don't wear hijab, but I have a lot of friends who wear hijab in Korea. And mostly I don't think it's a huge struggle for them. I think it's the same as not wearing hijab. Just sometimes if you live in conservative places like Daegu, for example, then you have a lot of older generation staring at you. But I think it's just because they're curious again, not because they're like thinking of you in a bad way.
You might feel embarrassed about it, but it's really fun to wear it. It makes you look different, unique from other people. They're amazed, and when they see you with it, they just like keep looking around you like you're a celebrity or something. It just drags attention to you, especially if you don't live around this area.
You get asked some questions. Again, the stares is the normal thing. I almost got used to it, but you get asked questions. Oh, why do you wear it? Stuff like that. So if your Korean is good enough, you can explain it. It's a very sensitive topic, so you want to explain it clearly to them because some of them have already some misconceptions from like media and stuff. So you want to clarify that as best as you can.
What misconceptions do they have?
That like, oh, people from your country, like they all wear it or something like this, or that you're forced to wear it, which is not true.
It's more like I don't see a lot of people wearing it around me, let's say in my university. Wearing the hijab in Korea has been okay so far. No problems whatsoever.
Based on your personal opinion, do you think being a Muslim, as a man or a woman, you're treated differently in Korea or like you're seen differently?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think I will be able to answer that. First of all, I think I don't really look like a Muslim, if that makes sense. So usually when women practice Islam, of course not all of them, but some of them wear like a hijab, so you would definitely see that they're a Muslim. And then for men, sometimes they would have like a long beard or like this traditional clothes, which I don't have. So most of the times they're pretty surprised that I'm a Muslim. So maybe I can imagine that women sometimes get treated differently, especially like when you wear a hijab.
Are there mosques or places to pray in cities in Korea?
No, there's not a lot of mosques in Korea. I know only a few, like in Itaewon one and in Seoul one, and Incheon they have one mosque which is very small. So there's only two of that I know, but I know that in Daegu they were trying to build a mosque and they failed because citizens they're doing some demonstrations because they're against building mosques near the university. So yeah, I think there's not a lot of mosques because people are not ready for this change.
To be honest, I did my exchange here in 2021 and I always came into this mosque here, the central mosque, and right now I'm here for a month, so I always come here. I didn't really look at other mosques because I'm live really close by to this one and it's extremely big, so it's very nice to like find the community, find people. So I would suggest everyone to come to the central mosque. But if you live outside of Seoul, I'm not sure. I don't really have a lot of information.
Yeah, like the one here was really big comparing to Japan. That's why we went to this one. But I think there's pretty good options to come and pray here.
What's it like, being a Muslim in Korea compared to Tokyo?
Honestly, I don't know because like I said, we don't look like the typical Muslims, like with a hijab and everything. So I wouldn't know, but I know that they're very accepting. Like over there in Tokyo, they're very with the Palestinian movement, and most Palestinians are 90% Muslim. So I would say they're very accepting over there. And I've heard Koreans, there's a lot of Muslims in here. I would compare both of them are very acceptable.
So it's not that much in Seoul. In Incheon, there's a big one. There's Busan. There's Daegu. There's a lot of places, yeah.
Not every city, but like the major cities have one big mosque. It's usually far, at least mine is. Around, like for example, on university campuses, there could be a mini mosques or like some rooms, for example, that's dedicated for Muslim students to pray. So that's been quite convenient, at least in my city.
So would you say Korea nowadays is more open to Islam in general?
I would say so. Korea has become open in general, and in terms of like Arab countries and more tourists are coming, and Itaewon as an area has become like a hub for Muslim people. So I feel like that way. But also I've heard like the opposite, whereas in some cities, Muslim people are quite, not criticized, but, people are like not welcoming of them that much, I guess. But I haven't experienced that personally.
Seoul Central Mosque here, I heard that there's another one in Busan. There are in other cities, but they're not as well known as Seoul Central Mosque. There are places to pray in amusements park, just like Lotte World, so they are getting more spread out in Korea. In Korea University, actually, there is a Muslim praying room.
What surprised you the most about being a Muslim in Korea?
Well, there's pork in everywhere, like in every food. I don't really speak good Korean, so I always say like 여기에 돼지고기 있어요, and then they say, oh no, 안 돼요, and then you open the kimbap and there's like spam in it. So they literally don't understand it. Like that's the biggest problem, I think, because like when you say I don't want it with pork, they say like, don't worry, there is no pork inside. But then you open up and you see like, I don't know, spam, or it was like made with pork bone broth or something like that. So that surprises me, like most of them.
People kind of live in their little bubble and they don't really have a broad view on new like different religions. So yeah, I don't think they're very open-minded about new religions. That surprised me a lot, because I think that when you go maybe in other countries, people know about Ramadan, for example, right? And they have a very broad view about different religions, like basic knowledge. But in Korea, they're not very interested, and I mean, it's their right, but yeah, I was very surprised.
What are halal spots you recommend?
Itaewon area has a lot of variety. Like this street over there, they have like 5-6 restaurants. There's a fried chicken one over there, right over there.
Is it yellow chicken?
Yellow chicken. I would recommend this one. It's a bit pricey, but it's how you get the traditional Korean experience, but it's halal food. They have like galbitim. It's Korean traditional restaurant. It's right in front of exit 2 or 3, and the vibe inside is very like Korean. They have the walls and the spinning table. I would recommend. It's a bit pricey, but if you're bringing like family or it's like a one experience kind of thing, I would recommend that one.
Would you say Islam as a religion is growing in Korea?
I would say so. I say Islam is growing everywhere. It's been more and more, especially after Palestine. A lot of people have been looking towards Islam and the religion and are really enjoying it. So I really feel, in general, everywhere, Islam is becoming a very big religion everywhere in the world.
Hope you're enjoying this video. If you love to see more like this, be sure to be subscribed and also turn that notification. If you're traveling to Seoul and want to travel in Seoul like a local, be sure to check out my guidebook, which is going to be linked down in the description. See you in the next video.